Hi, as we get into the CPU information, which is all down here in the bottom of the Chapter 4 section, I really wanted to correct myself and point out a couple things that I said in the motherboard introduction because I really said something that was incorrect. First of all, the information on the presentation and all the stuff and the links are right down here under the CPU PowerPoint. When we talk about sockets, if you go to Wikipedia, or to, I copied this stuff over here into our page, but if you go and look at all the socket information and you look down through here and you look at the manufacturers, you are going to see that AMD does make LGA sockets. Intel is not the only one that makes LGA sockets. In fact, although AMD still is the only maker of PGA sockets, really of current stuff, AMD does have LGA sockets out there. So I'm putting have the list out here of what the current LGA sockets are off of Wikipedia. You can see that AMD has 3 different LGA sockets that they use, while Intel has a number of different LGA sockets. So you can't really look at a motherboard anymore and say, if you see an LGA one there, that's definitely an Intel CPU that goes into it. But if it's PGA and it's current, the reverse is true, that all the current PGA sockets are from AMD. As we look at this socket set, and really it's in order of what's come out most recently, you can see that AMD started making LGA sockets in 2010. Up until that point, they were PGA only, and you can look back here and you don't see, well, the socket F was out prior to that. That was out in 2006, but it was the only LGA socket that they had at the time. So I really wanted to point that out. And if you look at this link, which is the one right down here on the CPU socket list on our Moodle site, if you go and read through that, it's in a chronological order of the CPUs when they were introduced, what company used that, and you can even see here that in 2011 AMD introduced the FM1, which again was back to a PGA socket. But some of these really dense, this is the number of pins that are on there, some of the really dense ones, the only way for them to get the number of pins on those that were required on some of the CPUs was to have an LGA socket. Still, the 1155 is the most prevalent one. The 1155 socket that came out in 2011 is what all the i3s and i5 and i7s, or at least most of them, support. So that, just so you know, and you don't say, "Ah, Mr. Poole, you lied to me." I did, because I basically said in the motherboard section that PGA was AMD only and LGA was Intel only, but there are a couple LGA sockets out there for AMD processors. Everyone's either got AMD or Intel assigned to them. The link's right here. Don't know what that pop-up is. The link right here that you see that goes to the AMD and the Intel sites takes you directly to their site where you can do research on your particular processor maker. I also wanted to point out this, and this is off of the Wikipedia site about the litigations that have gone on between AMD and Intel. If you remember me talking about it earlier, I did say that really Intel got AMD into the processor market, and you can see there in 1986 they broke the agreement with AMD, and in the end, in 2009, after everything was said and done, Intel paid AMD $1.25 billion for the legal litigation that went back and forth from them. Really, Intel AMD is a preference anymore. So when we talk about companies, when you look at those, as we start to examine the different CPUs, the different ways they're made, the cost of the different CPUs, you're going to see why some people use Intel and some people use AMD. But I just wanted to point that out real fast. And again, that's information that you can read in the Wikipedia article, specifically the AMD one where it talks about its litigation with Intel.